Mike Rich. I'm the Chief Executive of Barnet Carers. And this evening, or today, depending on when you're watching this, we'll be speaking to Lisa from Dementia Club UK. Lisa, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the Dementia Club.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for this interview. Well, I set up Dementia Club UK. This is my own charity. So I'm the founder and chairman of Dementia Club UK. And we've been doing this for 8 years now. Dementia Club UK is set up to provide help to all those people living with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And also, we care for the carers and their families, which is most important.
You say you've been doing it for 8 years. What was the driving force, Lisa, behind you deciding to set up the charity?
Okay, well, my mother unfortunately was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2010. And this was a huge learning curve because I obviously didn't understand what Alzheimer's disease was. Lots of textbooks, lots of leaflets, trying to explain what it is, but there are no simple instructions. And everybody's Alzheimer's and other types of dementia, everybody is different, completely different. I learnt the hard way, all the many challenges and difficulties. So when I then became the mayor of London Borough of Barnet in 2011-12, I decided then that one of the charities, because I chose 3 charities at the time, one of the charities being Alzheimer's Society, and the other 2 charities, I don't know if you're aware, Mike, but it was Barnet Young Carers and Siblings, and we also the Outward Bound Trust. So I was raising money basically for 3 charities. I raised £60,000 and
Wow.
divided that equally. And the £20,000, I set up the first dementia cafe in Barnet with the Alzheimer's Society.
I mean, just to bring you back to the name, actually, Dementia Club. It's when you I was thinking Dementia Club, and then when you were saying, well, actually, you know what, all people are different with Alzheimer's or dementia. It's that one of those trite sayings: if you've met one person with Alzheimer's disease, you've met one person with Alzheimer's disease. And that seems to be the feel for the thing. It's a club getting people together. That seems to be what you're aiming at. Is that the idea?
Well, Dementia Club, we called it a club because it provides a variety of activities. And as I've said before, we are trying to help not only those living with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, but also most importantly the carers and the families, because gone through what I went through, um, I really felt that this was something that was a great need in our society. There is such a stigma as well. So uh, setting up Dementia Club UK and giving people with dementia and the carers and family 2 hours of respite, and doing this every day was giving them a lifeline. It was breaking up their day and just helping them to live and to enjoy life.
I think what you're saying about not only the people with dementia, but about their carers is really sort of really touches what we hear so much of. It's incredible. I mean, obviously, it's incredibly difficult to have dementia or Alzheimer's.
Mm.
Incredibly difficult to be the carer. And so, how's the club been working up until lockdown, at the very least? So,
Well, we've been working for 8 years, as I mentioned,
mm,
and a date that will always stick to my mind forever, and also all the members, is the 11th of March. The 11th of March, when we had the last session at the Finchley Memorial Hospital, and I had to announce to everybody, sorry, but we're going to have to suspend. I was running 12 dementia clubs in the borough, and it's not just in the borough of Barnet, but also in the borough of Camden as well. And it was terribly bad, horrible news for everybody. Everybody was in tears when they left. It
mm.
was horrible. But I carried on, sort of not with the dementia clubs, of course, but I kept in contact with everybody by email, by phone. Also, we had quite a few vulnerable people who were unable to go out to get any foods. So I was out there taking food parcels to all the vulnerable members to try and do whatever I can to help. It was awful, absolutely awful. I kept this going for some time, but unfortunately, people were still calling me. I still kept getting calls. I get referrals from the Alzheimer's Society. I was getting calls from GP surgeries, referrals, and people were desperate on the phone. They were so desperate. And that's when I decided to start Zoom sessions.
I attended one recently, and it was great actually. I I think over the last 6 months I've attended. I don't know how many Zoom sessions, but actually there was a real buzz and interest about the Zoom session that I came along to, that you ran. I think people are really, they're keen to get involved. They've got things to say. They have I think
Well, that was the
it felt
carers.
like it really brought,
Yes,
yeah, the carers.
that was
Yeah,
the
no,
carers session.
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I started with one Zoom session and now I'm doing, well, four, including the carer session. But the three sessions that we do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we do in the afternoons, 2:30 till 4:30. And that's again, we do lots of activities trying to replicate what we used to do physically in the Dementia Club, but doing it slightly different in a Zoom version. But it's been very successful and
What kind of thing
all the
goes on?
members are enjoying it. Yeah.
Excellent. So what sort of goes on in a Zoom dementia club?
Okay. Well, let me explain first of all what we were used to doing physically in a dementia club. Um, we broke up the session in four parts, basically. So the first part of the session, people come, they sit down at the table, they have their coffees, their teas, they have their cakes and their biscuits, and they sit and chat basically. So the first part is sit and chat, get to know all the people that come. The second part of the session, I was doing singing, I was doing quizzes, um, arts and crafts. And if, for example, we had a special guest, like if you were going to come, Mike, and say hello to everybody and introduce yourself, or we had the ambulance service coming to do a few first aid, we would have that in the second part of the session. In the third part of the session, I would be doing exercise to music. As an exercise instructor myself, I always believe, doing exercises is very important for the body and for the mind. So we would do exercises, a few chair exercises, nothing too difficult. Um, and then the fourth part of the session, we would have music, because as you know, music is powerful, especially for people living with dementia. Music entertainment, but plus also for those who weren't too interested in music, because at the end of the day, Dementia Club UK wants to cater for everybody and make sure that everybody is taking part and enjoying the session. So we would also have a variety of activities. So we would have games like indoor putting golf, magnetic darts, skittles, table tennis, lots and lots of variety of things, and everybody would get involved and everybody would enjoy it. Now, of course, with the Zoom sessions, we can't play indoor golf and do all those things, but we do something similar. So I've introduced everybody. The official start time 3 o'clock, but I let everybody in at 2:30. So from 2:30 to 3 o'clock is the welcome. I welcome everybody as they join in. If we get new members, I introduce them to the other members. and all the other members that know each other, they start chatting, talking about their week or issues or problems, and it's that time which I think is just so important for people. You know, this lockdown has really got everybody into, you know, imprisonment, the feeling of being imprisoned
Mm,
and desperate need for being able to talk to somebody. So that's the first part. Then 3 o'clock, I mute everybody and we start a music entertainment. I have three music entertainers from when I used to use at the clubs. They're very happy when the internet's working, of course, because sometimes there are those issues. But they play their music, we do music quiz, we get them involved, and the music entertainers are terrific because they really integrate with the members and they talk to them beforehand as well. Then we also do the exercise as well. So after 30 minutes of music, it's 30 minutes of exercise. And again, we use the people that used to do the exercise. Uh, I'm also an exercise instructor, but I like to use other people as
mhm,
well. So we have the yoga instructor, Richard, who does it absolutely fantastic. And we also have other exercise instructors who do a bit of salsa and a bit of just other normal music, chair music, which is again everybody enjoys. And then after that, I then do a quiz with everybody, and we do jokes because I think, you know, I find it extremely difficult finding jokes, but I
mhm,
tried to do my search and I try to get some very nice jokes because I think laughter is important. I think people need to laugh, express themselves. So I do a bit of jokes as well. And then we do bingo because I think bingo is well, not everybody's favorite, but most people enjoy a bingo. And that's the last thing I do before the session ends. So I think all in all, people have been enjoying it. And one other thing that I never thought that I would be doing with my husband is on a Tuesday afternoon, we do the Lisa and Mark karaoke show. Uh, and this has gone down really well as well because, you know, everybody's favorite tunes, favorite songs, but you don't necessarily remember all the words. So doing a karaoke and getting the words up on the screen, I've had a lot of feedback from members saying to me, do you know, it's the first time my loved one has been able to sing and get involved and enjoy the song, enjoy singing. So it's been a great plus, Mike. It's been absolutely fantastic. It's been a
It
learning curve, but it's been fantastic.
sounds fantastic. I know where I'm going to be this Tuesday afternoon. That's for definite. You know, one of the great things listening to you, Lisa, is sort of like clearly when you were when it was face to face and you're in places like the hospitals, clearly it was a fantastic club. And I just think that, you know, charities like yours, small charities who've just said, actually, you know what, we're not going to let this get in the way. Um, we're going to find a way of continuing to support people. And you know, you used the phrase imprisonment earlier, and
Mm,
I've heard that on a number of occasions. And
mm,
you know, you hear people and you say, "Oh, how's speaking to carers?" And you say, "Oh, how's lockdown been for you?" And some will say, "Actually, you know what? It's not been any different. I'm stuck in the house anyway."
mm,
And others have said, "Well, you know, it's I'm finding it really difficult because those day centres, those groups that I used to go to that provided a bit of respite,
mm,
provided me with a break, or you know, more importantly, sometimes provided me and provided the person I care for with some entertainment and sort of, you know, something to do and a bit of stimulation,
mm,
have all gone." And I think actually no, they've not all gone. You're out there weekly
mm.
doing that, and I just think it's brilliant. And I think, you know,
Thank you.
what you're saying is the things that when I speak to people, this is what they miss and this is what they love. Things
Mm,
like bingo, things like a
mm,
good old fashioned sing song and stuff like
mm,
that. You
mm,
know, a bit of a dance, bit of exercise, all of those things that are brilliant for people who've got dementia. and quite
Absolutely.
frankly, great for the rest of us. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and you were saying you do some stuff in Camden as well. I suppose being Zoom now, the world is slightly become your oyster, but with the need to
Well,
limit the number, of course.
we've joined together with the leisure industries. So GLL used to be called GLL, but
Yeah.
it's no longer GLL. So like Barnet Copthall, and there's also the leisure centres in Camden as well. So we've joined together, and together we are doing the same. We are delivering the same service to other people. Because at the end of the day, Dementia Club UK is not just focused for Barnet.
Mm,
Most of our dementia clubs are in Barnet, but ultimately we want to raise awareness, and we want to be able to help more people around the country, because there are many, many people, Mike, that need help.
yeah.
And I'm constantly getting calls from people. As I said, I get referrals from the Alzheimer's Society and GP surgeries who do the social prescribing. And people are out there saying, but look, like what I was in that situation with my mum, and I didn't know what to do. There are those calls that I get saying to me, look, my loved one is doing this, this, and this. Is this
Mm,
what dementia is? What should I be doing? And these are the questions and answers, we need to help. And we're very lucky because one of our trustees is also a GP. So in all our sessions, in when we had them physically, our GP would come on occasions, and would always ask and said to members, would you like your blood pressure taken? So simple thing like that, they'd have their blood pressures taken if they wanted to, but also the GP would be there if there were any other medical concerns.
mm,
And I think that's just a feeling of comfort, because at the end of the day, what Dementia Club is doing is providing a safe place where they all feel comfortable, relaxed, and they can enjoy the session at the same time. And it's a whole package. We
mm.
provide the whole package.
It's really important, the fact that you're actually doing something for not only for the people with dementia, but for their carers. I mean, caring, as we know, can be a really lonely place, being a carer.
Mm,
And I think sometimes, especially with the people, caring for somebody with dementia can be even lonelier, because and especially if you're on your own, and you're in maybe stuck especially now in a flat or in a house with a parent with dementia. It can be a very lonely place. And at the beginning, lots of people say, I just don't understand
mm,
what's changing, and things change. And I
mm.
think that ability to be able to come together with a club like yours and say, and just ask, that in that place where you feel safe, where you feel there's no stupid questions, no silly questions, where you just
No.
say, actually, you know what, I don't understand what's happening. And that ability for somebody else to say, you know what, that happened to me, or I recognize that this is what I did, this is that kind of thing is a massive resource. And I think that what you're saying about sort of moving it, and I suppose sort of Zoom and the lockdown and all of those types of things have really given your charity the ability to sort of stretch its boundaries considerably, I suppose. And I think that it's a great thing. And one of the things we do is we've got a carers community that we run online, which is not just for people in Barnet. It's got sort of like nearly 1,000 members,
Wow.
of that. And that's because people go, you know what, I need something to connect to. I want to connect with people who understand me. And I think what you're doing. Well, I'd really like to speak to you at some point about linking those things up, because I think what you're doing with just goes to show, with a bit of imagination and a bit of energy, that there is a tremendous amount you can do. So what do you think? I mean, you speak to people, obviously, who are caring for people with dementia,
Mm.
all the time. What do you think has been sort of probably the worst part about the last 6 months for those individuals?
Well, the worst part is just the isolation. And people are, I'm getting calls, I'm still getting calls from people, and they're mentally affected. I mean, everybody. I mean, not just people living with dementia, but I think we've all been affected in many ways, mentally and physically, because physically we've not been able to carry on with our day to day, going out, doing all the normal things that we all want to do. And I think the past 6 months has been absolute nightmare for many people. And for those also who've got loved ones in care homes, it's been an
Mm,
absolute nightmare.
mm.
Because as you can imagine, not being able to see your loved one is devastating.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I suppose the worst thing is for many of us, recent news that it looks as though it's something of the similar is going to happen for the next keep going for the next 6 months is
Mm,
really quite it really can bring you low. But I think the key for me is sort of you know yes, absolutely, these are sort of really difficult times, but
mm,
I think that the great thing about talking to you, Lisa, and sort of knowing about the services that Dementia Club UK provide, and knowing that there's is that for people out there who are feeling a bit lonely, feeling on their own, are caring for somebody with dementia, that
mm,
idea that there is actually a place they can go. There is something, a club or group that they can plug into and get some
absolutely.
advice and get some entertainment and just,
Mm,
reach out. And I think, we all know that things like this, a Zoom call where we're in different parts of London and things like that, it's not a panacea and it's not a
no.
replacement for being able to see people face to
Mm.
face, but it's better than nothing.
And do you know
Um,
what, Mike? I'd just like to add there, um, because if anybody listens to this, and because one of the biggest questions that I've been asked many times, as I think I touched upon earlier, is what do we do if this happens? What do we do? Our loved one is doing this X, Y, and Z.
mm,
What I've done is there's a transcript on my website, and it's under publications. And I did a talk to a pensioners association actually. And this is a transcript of all the difficulties and challenges that I've been through with my mum. I know that's not everybody, and everybody's challenges are different, but I think if people want to have a look at that, they're very welcome to, because it's hard. It really is hard, and especially what we're going through now with the COVID and the lockdown measures, everything. Having answers at your fingertips is just not easy.
mm, mm,
So we have in the publications, we've got YouTube videos which shows what Dementia Club UK does, and other films, and it sums up not everything, but it gives a brief sort of description as to what we're doing. And if they want to home in and read about the challenges and difficulties that I went through, which was so painful, you know, and
mm.
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Certainly be
And
putting the details of the website on all of the
yeah,
on all of the publicity that we put out there. And I think we'll be we are in regular contact with a couple of thousand carers sort of weekly in Barnet. Obviously, not all of them care for people with dementia, but probably
mm,
about 15 to 20% do. So there's a lot of people out there. I
mm,
think one of the things that we always try and say to carers is, what, you're not on your own.
yeah,
It might feel like you're on your own, not.
no.
And there are a lot of people. So, I mean, how can people get involved with you guys if they
Well,
see the video? Think
see the
that sounds like a
video.
good thing to me. What
Uh,
do I do?
Well, if they see the video, obviously, if you've got internet, you go on Google and type in Dementia Club UK, All my details are on there. Email address, contact telephone number is on there. So I'm happy to chat anytime. I mean, that's the other service that I do. I don't clock off at 5 o'clock. Anyone who joins and becomes members of Dementia Club UK, they know that I'm on call anytime, and people that know me, I've picked up calls at 10, 11 o'clock at night, when somebody's stressed and they need help because they're going through a very troubled moment. I'm there. And, it's just nice for somebody to know that somebody's at the other end of the line to be able to give some advice.
I think it's, to be honest, I think it's invaluable, and I think, you know what, I think one of the great things about it is, as well, is that, they, if somebody speaks to you, comes along to one of your groups, and it's, you're speaking from the heart and you're speaking from experience, and I think,
Absolutely.
that's a real thing for people. So if people did want to come along to one of your groups, they can just, we'll put the details in, they can email you, contact you, and and get involved. That's
Absolutely.
brilliant, Lisa. What I will today, I want to ask you, is that if you've got a message for people who are caring for a loved one with dementia, what would it be?
Please don't give up. Please don't think that this is the end. I know that from a lot of carers that I've spoken to, they've been so depressed, and as I've mentioned before, they felt imprisoned. But all I say is persevere, hang on, carry on wearing your masks and your gloves when you go out shopping. Okay, protect yourself, and this will be over. This is like any other previous flu, just a little bit more than what it has been before. But if we carry on doing all the good things, and we'll be there. We'll be back to normal again.
Thanks, Lisa. And I think, the other, for me, my message would be that, sort of like, yes, you're absolutely right. But also just remember, the world's not stopped. Things are going on. People like yourself are actively doing things all the time. You can reach
Yes.
out and connect with individuals just because you're stuck in your home. Yes, it's not the same, but you can really reach out. Thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. We will
Thank you.
be putting this around. I just think it's what you've done and what you've achieved, sort of like locally, and further abroad than that, with for people with dementia, is just remarkable. And I think, for lots of individuals who who feel themselves to be lonely and on their own, it's just such a boost to be able to talk to somebody who's really saying, what, you're not.
Mm,
Come along, I'm here,
yeah.
out there. The individuals are there, and when I was on, when I came to your carers group, it's clearly very warm, very supportive group. People are there for each other, and
Mm.
because they've got that thing in common, and I think it's lovely. So thank you very
Well,
much. I really
I've
appreciate it.
promised everybody as soon as this is all over that I've promised them a big party. So they're all expecting that.
And I'm sure they'll be holding it to you, holding
Oh, I'm
you
sure
to
they
it as
will.
well.
I'm sure they will. But I promise that, and I promise to deliver. Absolutely.
Okay, that's us then, Lisa.
Oh.